Hello everyone, welcome to another session of Code Basics coding tutorial. Today's topic is reading and writing to a file. And here is the list of items we are covering in this video. Okay, let's begin with creating a new file and writing some content to it. As you can see here, I have C data directory which is completely empty. I do not have any file. What I want to do is create a new file called funny.txt and write some statement into it. For that you use open statement. Open will open a new file either for reading or writing. The first parameter in this open function is the complete path of the file name. So I'm using c://data/funny.txt. Now, why am I using two slashes here? If I don't use two slash and just one slash, then that has a special meaning and it won't work right. So that's why I need to use two slashes here whenever I'm specifying the path of the file name. Okay, so the first parameter is the file name and the second parameter is the mode in which you want to open the file. I want to write the file, so that's why I'm using W, which means write. Now let's write something into it. This file handle has a function called write, where I can say, okay, I love Python. And once you're done writing to it, you should close it. Closing a file will free up all the resources that operating system is going to allocate for this file. Alright, let's run it. Okay, so looks like it executed fine. And now if I look at my C data directory, I'm seeing this file now, funny.txt. If I open it, I will see I love Python. Excellent. Okay, now let me write some different lines. So instead of Python, I'm saying JavaScript. If I execute it again and open this, then I see I love JavaScript. But one thing you noticed here is it overwrote the previous content. I previously had I love Python and now I have I love JavaScript. What if I don't want to overwrite the file and just append the content to it? For that, you need to use a different mode called append. So just remember, whenever you say W mode, it will always overwrite the file. So you need to say A means append. And now, as you see, I have I love JavaScript and I'm just going to use some different statement here. And I say I love C++ and I run it. See what happens. So it had I love JavaScript, now it appended I love C++. Now this was in the same line. If you want to append it in a new line, then you need to use /n character, which is a new line character. And you can say I love PHP. When you run it, if I open it again, you will notice now I have I love PHP in a new line. Okay, now let's see how you can work on reading a file line by line, right? For this, we're going to work on a simple problem where your funny.txt, so I'm going to open funny.txt, erase all the content, and I'm going to put this funny dialogue here. Okay, you can take a moment and read it, it's quite funny. Alright, so what I want my Python program to do is read this file, and for each of the line I want to count the number of words, and towards the end it should append the word count. And what I want is I want to create a new file. So let me first save it. Okay, my Python program will run on this file. It will create a new file with a word count at the end of each line. Okay, so first let me open this file in reading mode. So if you want to read the file, the mode that you specify is R. Okay, and if you want to now read the lines one by one, first let me show you how I can read the entire file content in one shot. All right, so when I say print f.read, and you always do f.close. Let me run it. Cool. You can see in the output that it read the whole file and it just printed the contents here. So f.read gives you the entire file content. Now this is not what I want, because I want to count number of words in each line. So I want to go through this file line by line. For this you have to use for loop. When you say for line in f, this will iterate through file one by one, and every time line will have one specific line from that file. Okay, so let me first print it just to show you that I'm not lying. It is working as per what I just mentioned. f.close. Let me run this again. When I run it again, now you see every time it is reading one line. If you want to count the number of words in this line, now what you have to do is, say you have this file. How do you count number of words? Words are basically separated by spaces like these. Okay, so if you can somehow detect these spaces, then you will be able to figure out number of words. In Python, there is a function on a string called split. So when you say line.split, what you're doing is you have a string and you are splitting that string using this separator. So I'm using space as a separator, and when I do that, it will give me list of tokens. Tokens is nothing but the list of words. Okay, let me just print those tokens here. So I will say str tokens. You notice what just happened. I went through each line one by one, and for every line I split it using space. What that gives me is a list of words, which is an array. When I print it, you see that this array, right? Now all you have to do is, now you have an array with list of words. All you have to do is just take the count. And how do you take the count? You use len command. So len. Okay, when I run it, voila, I get the word count. Now what I want to do is I want to open another file called f_out, and I will use the same path, and I will say, okay, I want to name this file as funny_wc, which means word count, and open it in a write mode so that you can write to it. Okay, and here you will say f.out.write. So when you say write, it is going to write a new line into this new file. Now what do we want to write here? We want to write the original line as well as the word count. So my original line is line. Okay, and when you want to append to a string, you can use plus operator. Plus operator is going to just append to that string. So I will say word count, and what is my word count? str of len of tokens. Okay, len tokens will give you the word count, and you want to convert it to a string so that you can append it to another string. And you can just remove this one, and once everything is done, you want to close the handle for the output file as well. Okay, let's run it. Okay, so looks like it finished successfully. Now let's look at our C data directory. Excellent. Now I see a new file called funny_wordcount.txt. When I open this, I see a little problem. Okay, so it printed word count, but it was in a new line because I think we had, let's see, line. Okay, we had, I see. So we had /n, so that's why it towards the end, and that's why it printed word count in the next line. What we can do is we can print word count at the beginning of the line, and for doing that, just append this line towards the end. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, it executed fine. Now let me open funny word count. When I open it, what I see is this. Okay, so word count 6. So this line has 6 words: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why word count is 6, and so on. Okay, so that was a real fun exercise. Now let's talk about file opening modes a little more. We already covered few modes such as read, which is used for reading the file only. If you open a file in read mode, you cannot write to it. Similarly, if you open a file in a write mode, you cannot read it. So if you want to open a file both for reading and writing, then you use R+. So that will open a file for reading as well as writing. Similarly, if you use W+, then that will also open file for reading and writing. Then what's the difference between the two? Here the difference is, if you open file like this, and if let's say this file doesn't exist on your hard disk, it will create the file, versus in this mode it will not create the file if the file doesn't exist. So that's the difference. Otherwise they both the modes are pretty much same. And the next mode that we covered was A, which is append mode, where you can append to an existing file. There are other file modes as well. If you just Google it, the Python documentation page will show you all the different modes. One last thing we want to cover is a with statement. Here you saw that you have to explicitly open and close the file. If you don't want to close the file explicitly, because sometimes if you're writing a big program, you may forget that, and that's not good. So for that, if you want to avoid this kind of situation, you use with statement. So I will use with statement. So you'll say with open C data funny.txt for reading mode as F. When you do this, it will do the same thing, except that you don't have to now close the file. I will say f.read. Okay. Now how do I know if file gets closed automatically with statement? You can print f.closed flag. This f.closed flag tells you whether the file is open or closed. Okay, let me run it. Okay, I'm seeing some error here. Oh, I forgot one slash, that's why. Okay, so first thing what it did is f.read printed this much output, which is just the file content. And the second thing is here it is saying true, meaning f dot closed is true, meaning with statement automatically close this file. Okay, so that was all about files. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to work on these sample exercises.